caught it in time, though. There we go. All right. Trying
Welcome
again.
back.
Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 15th of November, 2019. We are so happy to be here. We have our weekly roundup. We had some amazing shows earlier this week. I think Patriot Gallery broke them down into sections that are watchable.
She labeled them with letters because she
A,
said
B,
there's
C,
too
D,
many
E, F, G.
numbers.
But she said that it makes it so it's like a mini series and you can go through because it's so much information. I think it was 6 hours long. But in a follow-up of that,
Woo-woo!
Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, roughly, probably between 9 and 9:30, we're going to have one of our very, very dear friends. His name is Serge. He's been in the ministry almost all of his adult life. He's even older than we are. I like to say that because he's a good friend. But he's going to come on tonight, and he's going to do a follow-up of his own testimony about not the Medjugorje, but really...
But the same thing, chasing...
The same, chasing Mary. And
he chased Mary.
Marian apparitions and his coming out of that. He was raised Catholic, and so it was kind of a last-minute thing.
Dynamic testimony, and he says,
life-changing, really.
Being in Tulsa, buckle the Bible belt, not a lot of Catholics to share his testimony with. So he, I believe, is just excited as we are to be able to share this major moment in his life. And we're just hoping it'll reach a lot of people.
So I want you guys to come back tonight.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of reiterate that 6 hours that we did this week on this Medjugorje phenomenon. It's literally, sometimes you watch a Dateline show, you're not vested in the murder of, Jean Bonnet. But it's incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
So I think that you'll find it, like, if you need something else to watch besides Impeachment Inquiry, which is what we're going to cover tonight, I'm kind of glad we didn't cover it this week because it was snooze fest boring. But I'm going to bring you some highlights. Donald Trump today and in this Impeachment Inquiry live tweeted about one of the witnesses. So hilarious.
I think it's great.
But I think that, like, going back to... the conspiracy theory roots that we have, and also we don't cover something unless we feel like it's going to benefit somebody and bring somebody out of some darkness. We focus a lot on the deep state. There's a lot of enemies of the people out there who want your money, they want your time, they want your attention, and this Medjugorje phenomenon has all of it.
Yeah.
And our CIA's involved. So if you need some television to watch, like while you're doing dishes or something, I guarantee you will not be able to turn away.
Right.
So
I'm noticing, Leah and I, the reason why we were late is because we were having technical difficulties. I'm streaming us over Wi-Fi, so it's going to be incredibly choppy. So I'm going to probably step away and see what I can figure out is going on and why this is not
plugged
working.
in,
I'm going to go reset it upstairs.
Well, won't you lose?
Well, I guess I can't really reset, but we're not connected to that, so I can at least unplug it.
But you're not connected to it Wi-Fi wise?
I'm connected.
Do you want to connect to the house is what I'm saying, so you don't lose the people?
I'm not going to lose.
Okay, so our net gear isn't working.
Right.
Okay, we're gone.
Unplug this and...
I think you were connected. Yeah.
We'll have to start the whole show over then. I hope not, but...
Abe in jail, we'd have Clapper in jail, we'd have Brennan in jail, but they only went after Roger Stone. You need to know the background of this setting, even, and I didn't cover it, but the seating for this jury were all Washington, D.C. people. The judge, an Obama appointee, had a gag order on Roger Stone, so he couldn't even defend himself on social media. That's why you haven't heard from him.
Right. And
in seating the jury, there were Obama people related to people who worked for Obama, and the conflict of interest of the people on the jury were out of this world. So this was a message last night from Alex Jones from Roger Stone. I'm going to play this. And if there's hope here, we are hoping for a pardon because he has been convicted. And it's a joke.
Trump has to give him a pardon. They're friends.
This is a witch hunt. It's more than a witch. It's a witch hunt on Donald Trump. It's a witch hunt on Robert Stone. Like, this is the real deep state. This is the real deep state. So there is a petition. I'm going to sign it.
Basic freedoms and due process is under attack. And if Roger Stone can be found guilty on any of the 6 counts against him by this kangaroo court and this Obama appointed
A little choppy.
It's choppy because you're on Wi-Fi too.
fake judge, no one in this nation is safe.
Basically, Obama appointed fake judge. So let's see. He's been convicted, and there is a petition. So I'm going to get to the petition first. White House petition calls on Trump to pardon Roger Stone. Pardon Roger Stone.
Yeah.
Pardon Roger Stone.
Pardon Roger Stone.
He faces 50 years in prison. I'm going to tell you why. Because you guys remember in 2016 when WikiLeaks was, they were making kind of some drops that things are going to happen.
Right.
Now, Roger Stone is a little bit of a blowhard, a little bit of a guy who, you know, to say he has more in his hand than he does. And he kept saying, we have sources that there's going to be some drops. We have some sources. Well, he was not in contact with WikiLeaks. He was not in contact with Julian Assange. But even if he was, that would not have been illegal.
Right.
It was the fact that he said he didn't have contact with Assange and he didn't have contact with WikiLeaks that they have convicted him on supposedly lying about something that he didn't do that was wrong, but it wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
So if you're going to call somebody before you and ask them a question.
Right.
If they're lying, it better be because, if they're going to be convicted of lying, it better be because what they did was wrong or illegal in some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But McCabe lied to Congress. And it's just crazy. So a petition has been launched on the official White House website Friday. Calls on President Donald Trump to pardon his longtime ally Roger Stone after a jury in federal court found him guilty on 7 charges related to FBI's Russia probe. Remember, this whole Russia probe was started based on the idea that they wanted to run a coup against Donald Trump,
right,
and take everybody around him down. This is insane. Simply titled "Pardon Roger Stone." The petition plainly asks the president to pardon his friend and associate. We, the undersigned, respectfully request that the United States grant a full and unconditional pardon to Roger Stone Jr. Double standard. It's a double standard. I'm going to tell you what. Are you ready for Trumpy, baby?
I'm texting a client, but yes, I'm ready.
Trump. This is Trump tweeting out about Roger Stone, okay?
Oh, yeah, I don't want to miss this.
Trump friend and former advisor Roger Stone being convicted of 7 charges, all process crimes, on Friday in the corrupt courtroom of Amy Berman Jackson. Stone now faces up to 50 years in prison or a life sentence. Democrats will likely cheer this news. Roger Stone has been a very effective GOP activist for decades. Now Trump has reacted to the news on today on Twitter.
I love Trump.
He says, so now they convict Roger Stone of lying and want to jail him for many years to come. Well, what about Crooked Hillary? What about Comey, Strzok, Page, Brennan, McCabe, Clapper, Shifty Shift, or O'Neill, Steele, and all the others?
Nellie.
And even Mueller himself. Didn't they lie? A double standard like we have never before seen in our country.
It is. It's totally a double standard. And
it's
so I think that Trump's definitely going to issue a pardon.
Those people set up, and they went after Roger Stone to set him up to get him entrapped in something.
But not even related to, they've lied about so many things.
But they lied to have a coup against our president.
Your chair really did shrink there.
Ooh, I'm back up.
For a second. We had to replace the hydraulics in that thing.
Can you do that?
Well, we could switch because I'm taller.
Then you sink. All right, process crimes. Obstructing a congressional investigations. lying to Congress. Roger Stone, a veteran Republican political operative and longtime confidant of Donald Trump, was found guilty by a corrupt jury. The verdict, announced after 2 days of deliberations by the jury, adds another chapter to Stone's colorful and long history as a self-described dirty trickster. That's the way NPR is saying it. It's all a bunch of hooey, and we'll just call it that. And so we want to free Roger Stone. Free Roger Stone. I'm going to see if a little bit more of this will play, but if not, this is his emergency message to us through Band.video. We have not talked about on our show. Band.video. This is where you can get a bunch. This is where you can get. This is where you want to go for Infowars videos. Infowars videos. Band.video. Band.video. Check out Band.video. It's a really great. I love the layout. I love the way it looks. I haven't used it as much as we should be. We should all be going there. This is Alex Jones's channel. He's created his own channel here. So they needed a place because they had so many videos, and where were you going to search them? They were all on YouTube, right?
And we see in
while you're waiting for that, somebody had left a comment on Periscope and was saying that Ivanka was the whistleblower. And so I did a little Google search. It's breaking news. Ivanka isn't the whistleblower. I mean, I know she could be, but what the news that you're getting is that Ivanka supposedly knows the whistleblower's name and tells her dad not to tweet it out. So,
okay.
That's the...
Everybody knows his names.
trials where they were having rehearsals on how they would testify, but even once they testified, it turned out that...
I'm sorry you don't have internet, man. Mine went back and forth. I was connected to it for a second, and then it went away.
I can only do... Looks like I might only be able to do... It might just be the band.video not coming through right. So we'll try to... I guess we have to move on from Roger Stone. Roger, I'm with you. I'm with you in spirit. I'm praying for you. And I want to see you pardoned. And I'm sorry that this is happening to you. It's wrong. And it should never happen to you or anybody else. Let's see. Zero Hedge over here. Roger Stone. After a trial, it keeps jumping. I'm just going to stand for a little bit. After a trial that spanned just over a week, a federal court jury in Washington, D.C. convicted Stone on 5 felony counts of lying to investigators, 1 of obstructing a congressional probe, and 1 of witness tampering. The charges against Stone were brought by Robert Mueller and handed off to career federal prosecutors in Washington, D.C. 1 count alleges that Stone obstructed the House committee's investigation by denying he had emails and other documents about WikiLeaks-related contacts. During his House testimony, Stone was asked if he had emails to anyone concerning the allegations of hacked documents or any discussions you had with third parties about WikiLeaks. Stone answered that he did not, when in fact he had a bunch of emails and other communications. The obstruction charge also alleges Stone attempted to prevent Credio from testifying or tried to convince him to falsely testify. And then count 3 alleges that Stone lied when he said that Credio was his only go-between to Assange, when in fact Stone was also in contact with Corsi for that purpose. At no time did Stone identify Corsi to the House as another individual Stone contacted to serve as a go-between. Count 4 alleges that Stone lied when he said he did not ask Credio to communicate anything to Assange, when in fact Stone asked both Credio and Corsi to get in touch with Assange to pass on requests for documents.
Credico?
Credico. Count 5 alleges Stone lied when he told the House that he and Credico did not communicate via text message or email about WikiLeaks. And let's see, it's all set. It's all set up against Roger Stone. He should have never been drawn before Congress in the first place. He was a private citizen, and he was trying to help Donald Trump. And yeah, he was trying to get in touch with WikiLeaks. Everybody was trying to get in touch with WikiLeaks, and I don't believe he ever did get in touch with WikiLeaks. And how can you? I don't know.
Well, the whole manner in which they went and arrested him at his house with guns and a raid.
FBI.
Like, okay, you do that for somebody that's like a hardened criminal that might have guns themselves. Like, you know, like you don't do that. You just go and like, you know, knock on the door with like a cop and say, I'm sorry, you're under arrest.
Right. So we're going to get into the impeachment inquiry, and I'm going to show you the highlights. I thought this was really funny. George Soros's Open Society has demanded that Fox News ban former federal prosecutor and Trump ally Joe Genova for claiming that the Hungarian-American billionaire controls a very large part of the career foreign service of the United States the United States Department. In response to Genova's comments, Open Society President Eric Wemple said in a Friday letter to Fox News CEO that Genova's comments are beyond fiction and beyond ludicrous. Others, such as the ADL, suggested that it was anti-Semitic. No, it's really not. And the Hill's John Solomon reported in March that the Obama administration officials sought to suppress a Ukrainian corruption probe into an NGO bankrolled by both the U.S. government and Hungarian-American billionaire George Soros. When Ukraine's Prosecutor General's office tried to investigate an alleged misallocation of $4.4 million in U.S. funds, which was supposed to go towards anti-corruption initiatives, U.S. embassy officials came down hard to shut down the investigation. We ran right into a buzzsaw and we got bloodied, said a senior Ukrainian official. It's very interesting that George Soros is being accused of controlling people in the State Department, so it's trying to control Fox News and who they have on. Hello?
I know.
Hello?
It's 1984.
Does Trump call CNN and tell them to stop having people on who accuse him of being an agent of Russia?
That's a very good question.
Accuse him of being a, quote, literal Nazi? Does the White House call MSNBC or ABC or the Joe Scarborough show when Joe Scarborough goes off on Donald Trump, calling him a Russian agent, calling him this, calling him that?
That's a very good question.
No. Get him off there. Get him off there. Get him up. Well, and Trump does it from his own platform, but he doesn't call and put pressure.
Sure.
So you got to get this person off. You got to get him off. Because, like, if you watch the compilations of the anti-Trump stuff, it'll make your head spin. And here's the thing. You know why? Because Joe here, DeGenova, is knee-deep in figuring out all this corruption. They have a true whistleblower who Congress is not one to have before them, showing ties with the Uranium One company and Hillary Clinton.
And I also, so speaking of that though, I want to give some levity to this and some excitement. Like, here's the good news for Jim Jordan. Nunes and Jordan are doing an excellent job in this impeachment hearing, okay, even though it is snooze fest. Regardless of the outcome of any of these witnesses, the Dems are all going to vote to impeach. And since they control the House, that's what's going to happen. And they're going to be able to control the witnesses, right? But in the Senate, we all know Trump's not going to get convicted and they won't control the witnesses, right? So the Republican Party is going to be able to pull out all of this stuff that will then lead to the convictions of all of these players. The House Democrats have no idea the gravity of what they are doing in trying to actually get an impeachment on Trump, because if it goes to the Senate, and it will, it's not going to be a snooze fest.
So, right, the Senate's going to be definitely something different. And actually, there were some good highlights. I felt like it's important, before we go into the impeachment inquiry, suddenly, a country that none of us have ever really talked about,
Really?
the Ukraine,
Oh, yeah.
is on the radar. And suddenly, the question is, when did Ukraine become a strategic ally of the United States? There was plenty of testimony on the Hill that Ukraine is a definite corrupt place to be. And the government's corrupt. The energy company Burisma is corrupt. And they all knew it was corrupt.
But now they have this funny little guy as president, and the populist movement is growing, and it's very interesting what's happening. And that's why they're trying to peg this on.
But here's the thing. Because Ukraine is such a corrupt place, it's like one of these like money laundering places of corruption where John Kerry's son and Joe Biden's son both get on this energy board.
Yep.
And a lot of people are implicated in the corruption happening in the Ukraine because it was it's the same thing as happening in the Bosnia, Croatia with the Medjugorje people. It's so corrupt. It's easy just to like be corrupt. You know, nobody's paying any attention. Okay. So during this time, we have Obama has ambassadors there. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's saying anything. You have Joe Biden saying, I called him up. I said, we're withholding aid until you fire that prosecutor investigating the company and my son sits on the board of. Hello?
Then what is so funny to me is that this exact situation that has happened between Biden and the Ukraine is what they are accusing Trump of doing when Trump didn't actually do it. I mean, it's the exact same thing. He actually did quid pro quo.
Right. Exactly.
He did it. It's done.
Right. And his son got a bunch of money. Not only did he do quid pro quo as on a government level.
Yeah.
He did it on a personal level. See, with Donald Trump, what they're trying to spin it is that somehow
you spin the politics right round.
He was trying to get them to investigate Hunter Biden and throw Joe under the bus because to try to get him out of the race.
Right.
None of us believe that's true because none of us believe that Trump thinks that Joe Biden is a literal threat in running against him. And that it was a legit phone call calling up President Zelensky, who, let me remind you, is an actor who played
the president
of the Ukraine on the television and played such a good character that people loved that they hired him by like 70% to be the real president. It's amazing. I love it. But so with Trump calling him on the phone saying, hey, I want to get together with you. Trump released another phone call with Zelensky, the first one. Hey, I'm congratulations. Let's meet together. And in it with Trump saying, hey, you want to root out the corruption? I want you to look into Joe Biden and this whole Burisma thing. And that's what this whole thing is about. Yeah. But with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and all that stuff, it should be looked into. It was corrupt. And the people on the Hill yesterday, today, are having to admit it was corrupt. And it's a legit question to be asking to look into.
It's not corruption. Just my political opponent did something and I want to take him down. It's, hey, this person that was in the second highest office in the land did something very corrupt and I need to know more about it.
Bingo, baby. Okay, so let's do a little bit of refreshing. Is that a word?
Just
Ukraine,
refreshing.
Of the history of the Ukraine. So we kind of know what's going on here, right? Okay.
And then we're going to get to Trump's live tweets.
We're going to get to,
I just want to get him excited.
Right. So, Adam Schiff is leading these stupid proceedings, and he says, in 2014, Russia invaded a United States ally, the Ukraine, to reverse the nation's embrace of the West, and to fulfill Vladimir Putin's desire to rebuild a Russian empire. 5 years ago, when Ukraine first came into the news, those Americans who thought Ukraine was an island in the Pacific can perhaps be forgiven. That members of the House Intelligence Committee don't know or pretend not to know more accurate information about Ukraine is a scandal and a consequential one. As Professor Stephen Cohen has warned, if impeachment process does not deal in objective fact, already high tensions with Russia are likely to become even more dangerous. So here's a kind of primer for those who might be interested in some Ukraine history. Late 1700s, Catherine the Great consolidated her rule, established Russia's first and only warm water naval base in Crimea. In 1919, we had, after the Bolshevik Revolution, Moscow defeated resistance in Ukraine, and the country becomes one of 15 republics of the Soviet Union. I will also add, they starved a bunch of people and killed a bunch of people by starvation and took over their farms. It was horrible and awful. The Bolsheviks were awful. Yeah. Okay, 1954, after Stalin's death, and the year before, Khrushchev, a Ukrainian, assumed power. Nikita Khrushchev Pandering to Ukrainian supporters, he unilaterally decreed that henceforth Crimea would be part of the Ukrainian SSR, not the Russian SSR. Since all 15 republics of the USSR were under tight control from Moscow, the switch was a distinction without much difference until later, when the USSR fell apart. So we have Khrushchev gave Ukraine away. Now, November 1989, Berlin Wall. Bam.
Mr. Gorbachev.
Throw down this wall. So, President George Bush invites Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev to summit talks in Malta, reassures him the U.S. will not take advantage of Soviet troubles in Eastern Europe. Bush has already been pushing the idea of a Europe whole and free from Portugal to Vladivostok. Now, this goes actually a little tiny bit into our story of Medjugorje, which was then Yugoslavia and a communist country, and the Pope John Paul II at the time was pro freedom,
Yes.
and trying to overthrow communist governments. And
So
why?
was
Why?
the
Why?
United
Wouldn't
States-
you want Catholicism to grow again? You want to overthrow communism.
Yeah.
Because communism is atheist. You're not allowed to be Catholic. So you had some pro-independence forces in Yugoslavia connected to Catholicism. So our own government, CIA, was involved in Medjugorje to try to push this phenomenon of Marian apparitions because it was connected to Croatian independence and overthrowing communism. So there's a little piece in that video. There's a little piece of this whole,
Do you see how we tie it all together?
Talking about Eastern Europe. Nobody's talked about Eastern Europe since Mr. George Bush invites, and you got Ronald Reagan, but Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall. I mean, seriously. So a consequential quid pro quo. 1990, Secretary of State James Baker negotiates a quid pro quo. Soviet acceptance of the bitter pill of a reunited Germany inside of NATO in return for an oral U.S. promise not to enlarge NATO one more inch to the east. 1991, the USSR falls apart. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly it does matter that Khrushchev gave Crimea to the Ukrainian SSR. Moscow and Kiev work out long-term arrangements for the Soviet Navy to use the naval base at Sevastopol. The quid pro quo began to unravel in October 1996 during the last weeks of President Bill Clinton's campaign when he said he would welcome Poland, Hungary, and Czech Republic into NATO. The earlier promise to Moscow notwithstanding, former U.S. Ambassador to the USSR Jack Matlock, who took part in both the Bush-Gorbachev early December 1989 summit in Malta and the Baker-Gorbachev discussions in February 1990, has said the language used was absolute, including no taking advantage by the U.S. I don't see how anybody could view the subsequent expansion of NATO as anything but taking advantage, particularly since by then Russia was hardly a credible threat. So from 16 members in 1990, the NATO has grown to 29 member states. The additional 13 states lie east of Germany, so they kind of already went back on their promise there. In 2008, amid rumors of NATO planning to offer membership to the Ukraine, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warned U.S. Ambassador William Burns that "niet" means "niet."
No. No means no.
Russia
In Russian.
will react strongly to any move to bring Ukraine or Georgia into NATO. Thanks to WikiLeaks, we have Burns' original cable from embassy in Moscow. Thanks to WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is... We need WikiLeaks back so bad.
That's why they had to shut it down, though, because they were like, oh my gosh, if we don't shut this down now, if we don't take this guy, put him in prison, and let him rot in prison, then all of our secrets are going to be exposed.
Right. Okay. So, included in the final declaration from NATO's summit in Bucharest, NATO welcomes Ukraine's and Georgia's Euro-Atlantic aspirations for membership in NATO. We agreed today that these countries will become members of NATO. Early September 2013. Putin helps Obama resist neocon demands to do shock and awe on Syria. Russians persuade Bashar al-Assad to give up Syrian army chemical weapons for destruction on a U.S. ship. Neocons are outraged over failing to mousetrap Obama into attacking Syria. Okay. I'm going to try to kind of sum this up. We don't have to really bring it in. The point is, with Russia annexing Crimea, it's really none of our business. Okay, it's really none of our business. The official
Yeah.
result from the voters in Crimea voted overwhelmingly for independence from the Ukraine to join Russia. Following the referendum, Crimea declared independence from the Ukraine and asked to join the Russian Federation. On March 18th, the Russian Federal Assembly ratified the incorporation of Crimea into Russia. In the following days, Putin made it immediately and publicly clear that the statement about Ukraine joining NATO, and even more important, the U.S. NATO plans to employ ABM systems around Russia's western periphery and in the Black Sea were the prime motivating forces behind the post-referendum reincorporation. So basically, NATO and the United States were going to kind of position military forces against Russia, and Putin says no. And that's why he goes back and takes, annexes Crimea. And so you have a lot of we live
here. Fire was that?
And this whole impeachment inquiry is because some people make some money getting involved in other people's governments. No, Hunter Biden would not be making over $50,000 a month.
Well, that's not even a real figure, by the way. For
His
anybody
last
to
name
ever
was not Biden. All right?
$1,000 a month, like, that's not real. And it isn't. Patriot Gallery would tell you it's all fake money.
Yeah. So, there's more to this. I don't know if Michelle wants to try to do this Zero Hedge article, but you can kind of learn a little bit more. So, before we go into, when did Ukraine become a critical ally?
That's tongue-in-cheek question, though.
Yeah, this is from Pat Buchanan. On hearing the State Department's George Kent and William Taylor describe President Donald Trump's withholding of military aid to the Ukraine, the New York Times summarized and solemnly endorsed their testimony. What clearly concerned both witnesses wasn't simply the abuse of power by the president, but the harm it inflicted on Ukraine, a critical ally, under constant assault by Russian forces. Even as we sit here today, the Russians are attacking Ukrainian soldiers in their own country and have been for 4 years. I saw this on the front lines last week. The day I was there, a Ukrainian soldier was killed and 4 more wounded. Ken compared Ukrainian resistance to Russia's intervention on the side of the Donbass secessionists to our own Minutemen of 1776. And then he says, the American colonies may not have prevailed against British imperial might without help from transatlantic friends after 1776. And then he goes on to, Congress generally appropriated over $1.5 billion over the past 5 years and desperately needed to train and equip security citizens in Ukraine. Military. We're talking about assistance. We talk about it all the time. It's not diapers. It's not food. It's bombs and machine guns and guns. Okay? All right? It's just crazy. So, Ukraine is not some sort of strategic ally. Okay? I just want you to know that. Not until President Trump became president, lethal aid began flowing to the Ukraine, actually, including Javelin anti-tank missiles. Anti-tank missiles. We're going to talk about that. There's more aid to the Ukraine now, like military-wise, under Trump, than there was under Obama. So he's actually giving more, which I disagree with. So why would he continue to do this? Why would he? It's stupid.
Unless
that's what they're trying to do.
They're saying that Ukraine did investigate Biden for him, and then Trump rewarded them with all this aid.
But he didn't.
Missiles.
All right.
Javelin anti-tank missiles.
So let's go to a few of these documents here, because we're talking about Biden's, we're talking about the Kerrys, we're going to talk about money. Millions went to the Bidens and Kerry's firm Rosemont from Ukrainians, and they connected to $1.8 billion in missing funds. And Latvians connected to whistleblower Carmela.
There are very few places.
This is another thing that's really hard to follow.
Yeah, but I just like to say the word Latvia.
Yeah,
it's just an enjoyable word to say.
2 days ago, documents were released that show millions transferred from foreign sources to Hunter Biden, Devin Archer, and John Kerry and his family. Documents reportedly leaked from the Ukrainian General Prosecutor's Office show complex money transfers from foreign sources into Obama's Vice President and Secretary of State families.
What can constitute a complex money transfer?
When we say John Kerry, we have Obama, Joe Biden, John Kerry, Secretary of State. Secretary of State is the foreign relations guy.
Number three.
So you've got Hunter Biden, Hey, John Kerry's son, Secretary of
No,
State's
the Speaker
son.
of the House is number 3.
Okay, well, in the cabinet wise.
Right.
Okay, everybody wants. It's kind of like, what position do you want? Vice P or Secretary of State? VP or Secretary of State, right?
Whatever gives me the most money.
Well, Secretary of State does. We know that from Hillary Clinton, right?
It's really true.
So John Kerry took over. He's like, moving in the cash. My son, I could just get my son to go moving in the cash. We'll just go to this tiny little country in Ukraine nobody knows about, nobody talks about. We'll keep it on the down low. Trump gets elected. Zelensky gets elected. It's like, not on the down low. It's not on the down low anymore. Oh my gosh. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? It's not going to be on the down low. Oh my gosh. I know what we're going to do. We're going to frame Trump and say that he was involved in Ukrainian corruption. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to cover up what we were doing.
And so we have to run Joe Biden, because if we don't run him, then we can't say that Trump did it against a political opponent.
Well, that's another one too. All right, so according to counterintelligence, let's see, leaked documents from the Ukrainian General Prosecutor's Office indicate complex money transfers from foreign sources in the control of a slush fund owned and operated by Devon Archer, John Kerry Sr., John Kerry Jr., Heinz Jr., and Hunter Biden. Sounds like a really great... Heinz Ketchup is who John Kerry married into, by the way. So it's a what? Are we not going?
Very interesting. Well, I appreciate the people that talk to me and tell me stuff.
They can't hear us?
Microphone wasn't plugged in?
Right.
Aww.
No, it was. I think he said, did it change? It must have changed all of a sudden. Maybe you knocked it or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So that should, give it a second.
So according to counterintelligence in Latvia, around $4 million was obtained by Burisma Holdings Limited, which was then transferred to Hunter Biden and Devon Archer. They're business partners, by the way. So that's fun. This describes the money transfer of 14 million euro from WireLogic and almost 2 million from Digitect. Further part of the sums described above are transferred to Alan Apter, Devon Archer, and Hunter Biden, and somebody else I don't know. Burisma Holdings then sent 3.5 million via Morgan Stanley to Hunter Biden and the John Kerry family via Rosemont Seneca. So here's that. All of whom are listed as partners of Rosemont Seneca. A further review of the files released by the Ukrainian General Prosecutor's Office, I love that they're doing that, thank you, provided more damning evidence of corrupt actions by Obama's Vice President and Secretary of State. In April 2014, alone, Rosemont Seneca received $110,000 from Burisma Holdings through Private Bank and another $140,000 from Notvas Holdings in the Ukraine. It's also important to note that April 2014, Hunter Biden was appointed to the board of directors of Burisma. Private Bank was controlled at that time by Igor Kolomoisky, and Private Bank controlled Burisma. It's all really hard to follow if you can try. At the time Hunter Biden joined Burisma, Kolomoisky was on a visa ban list. Shortly after Biden and Archer joined Burisma board, Kolomoisky was removed from the visa ban list. 9 months later, $1.8 billion in U.S. and IMF funds to the Ukrainian mysteriously disappeared. Bye-bye. Where did $1.8 billion in U.S. and IMF funds to the Ukraine disappear to? In
Latvia.
The ABLV Bank wired funds to Rosemont as well. Remember, Rosemont, Kerry's son's on that, Biden's on that. This bank is in Latvia. Isn't this great that you could just have all these foreign banks, you could just do all these crazy things? At the same time that a little-known officer in Obama's White House was by the name of Eric Charmella was meeting with guests from Latvia. These are all little hidden things that none of us will ever see or ever know or ever say, hey, there's corruption there. But they're doing it behind our backs. This is what we call the deep, deep, deep state. The deeper state than you ever knew was deep, right? The FBI, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, those guys are all on the surface deep state. Mm-hmm. This is like going into a foreign country, pocketing money deep state. And covering each other's
now, what I keep going back to that line: complex money transfers. Like, what constitutes a complex money transfer? It's like, okay, I have money. I'm going to give it to you. I do a money transfer. You know,
how it gets into their hands, it has to go through, so you can't follow it.
I know.
So you can't follow it.
It's the shell game
thing.
Well, it's the shell game.
It's also when you do the internet pings.
Right. I know.
Right?
Where's the ball?
Right. So Eric Charmella was meeting, and he's the whistleblower, with guests from Latvia. The FBI started an investigation into Donald Trump's activities in Latvia. This occurred shortly after candidate Trump announced his candidacy for presidency. Donald Trump was solicited to build a hotel in Latvia in 2012. The deal never went through, but the Latvian government reportedly was looking into corruption and approached the FBI in 2014. The FBI, of course, ignored the request, which may have been because Obama's VP and Secretary of State were receiving funds from Latvia.
Uh-oh.
Latvia said...
Obama's going to get pulled into this thing, I got to tell you.
Latvia wanted to look into corruption and approached the FBI. The FBI said, no. Don't worry about the corruption. Let the money flow. Right? That's exactly what they did. When they said, no, don't investigate the corruption,
right.
What else does that mean?
Money.
Shortly after Trump announced his candidacy, the FBI became interested in Latvia all of a sudden. At the same time, Charmella received numerous guests in the White House from the former Soviet region. This is, oh my gosh. In 2018, the U.S. had ABLV Bank shut down due to money laundering allegations. Same bank Joe Biden's sons get his money through. The problems in Latvia's financial industry grew so dire in February that the Treasury Department took steps to cut off the nation's third largest bank, ABL, from the U.S. financial system. Investigators had found evidence that money moving through the Latvian bank was helping to finance North Korea's ballistic missile program. The bank denied the allegations, but a new rule proposed by the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement was enough. So the firm that sent funds to Rosemart Seneca was Novitas Holdings. There's little known about this firm. Its website shows connections to Kazakhstan and is silent on who makes up its management team. Novitas can be contacted by writing an address in Singapore with no name attached. What the heck is Novitas and who's behind it? The more we look into Obama's connections in the Ukraine and Latvia, the more questions we have, and the more certain we are that the corruption is off the charts. Now, don't take my word for it. Take, I don't know if I have it up. I don't think I have it up. It's Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck did one of his Glenn Beck boards.
Yeah. Is it on YouTube maybe? I can find it.
Yeah. I don't even know if you can even play a second of it. It's like Glenn Beck, I mean, God love him. He does more than we do. He gets on something, he really breaks it down. Whew, that was a lot to get through. And that was just a little piece.
All right, which one of these is it? This one?
Yeah, I think it's that one.
You want me to pull it up?
Yeah, sure, why not? Glenny, we'll call him Glenny.
Wait, there's an ad.
I know, you know what I hate is, they fill space. I should just say, instead of, I'm just going to say, Jesus loves you. Jesus loves me.
Analyze Ukraine. We started to break down the left's strategy in tearing down an entire country and molding it in line with their political ideology. The founders of the Fabian Society would be very, very impressed. It's a 4-part strategy, and since Ukraine was so successful for them, we're going to use it as the state of the case study. But I want you to know that I'm only using Ukraine as an example. This is happening all over the world, and I will show you how close it is to your house a little bit later. First, step 1. Step 1 is the U.S. State Department and their proxies, like the National Endowment for Democracy and Freedom House, we just taught you about a few minutes ago. They identify, train, and fund civil society groups to mobilize.
This is actually different.
This is Civil Society 2.0 and
it was another video. It was another video actually where he breaks down.
It's not. Wait, no.
He breaks down the Ukrainian.
This one.
That might be it. You can.
It's from a day ago.
You can try it.
Bill O'Reilly is here to give us his take on the impeachment. Really looking forward to it. He studied it last night. He watched it all day yesterday. What did you walk away with on the impeachment hearings? Bill O'Reilly.
Well, first we have to talk about the defamation of you describing me as old.
Ancient?
Yeah, my attorney Swifty
Yeah.
on the line.
Yeah.
No, I thought you were talking about Whoopi Goldberg there for a moment before you mentioned my name.
Yeah.
All right, so I watched the impeachment hearings, and I watched it as an American. I want everybody to know that, not as a pro-Trump or anti-Trump pundit.
Mm-hmm.
Just as an American citizen who loves his country and wants the best for it. So one word sums up what I saw, and that is fiasco. It was a fiasco. And the reason is that still, after all of the verbiage, all of the bloviating, I still don't know what the crime is or the high misdemeanor. I don't know what it is.
Well, they were clearly yesterday walking all around it, but they were building the case, I think, yesterday, that it's bribery.
But you start in any kind of a judicial hearing, you start with the offense.
Right.
So here's the offense, and we're going to prove it. And then the defense attorney goes, you're not going to prove it, he didn't do it. But here, I got a guy with a bow tie. I thought he was one of the ex-Mouseketeers that I remember watching when he was a kid. I try to trace that back.
Right, yeah.
Who actually said nothing. I don't remember one word the man said. Then I have an ambassador, William Taylor, who was very credible. All right, he read the longest statement in the world, longer than William Henry Harrison's inaugural address that got him killed.
Right.
All right, it was longer than that.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, maybe Taylor, let me listen to this guy. And here's where Taylor lost all credibility. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready.
So after he goes through the litany of, well, I was told, and this person told me, and then I heard, and then it might have been, after he goes through all of that, never he saw or he did it, no, never that, all hearsay. Then the Republican says to him, are you aware that there is a Justice Department investigation into possible corruption involving Ukraine in the 2016 election? Are you aware of that? And you know what he said? Can you repeat the question?
Mm-hmm.
Over, he heard the question. All right? He heard it. He was trying to buy time because he didn't have an answer, and that is the crux of the whole thing.
Okay.
That's the defense of Donald Trump.
So what I'm going to do,
there's an investigation.
Sorry. So what I'm going to do is because it was all over the place, I'm just going to start playing you guys snippets.
Okay.
So we can kind of see what happened. This is,
we've been pretty preoccupied the past few days. Now, the fact that Leah's been able to put all this together, it's kudos to Leah. But I am watching a lot of this for the first time, so I'm kind of excited.
All right, Jim Jordan at Taylor. Now, this is Ambassador Taylor. He is their star witness. He has never talked to the president.
Ever.
He is a hearsay witness.
He's a hearsay.
And a Democrat said at the hearing,
okay,
sometimes hearsay is better than first-hand knowledge. And I said no court of law ever.
Said no one ever. I don't think anybody has ever said that unless they were joking. That's what you would say as a joke. That's what we would say
as a joke
to this about this guy, tongue in cheek.
So Ambassador Taylor here, he says that he heard something about Trump and a quid pro quo, but he did not hear it. So he's being questioned. You said you had a clear understanding. And I do not have volume on, so we will have volume on in 2.5 seconds. Jim Jordan is our representative just a little north of us, and I'm very proud that he's from Ohio.
Me too. Eric Mathis says, hello all. Hi, Mass Faith 3. God bless. I'm working out back, so I got you on the loud radio. Oh, while I work. And he does that so that in case anybody passing by can get red pilled. He even said so.
That's awesome.
A clear understanding that
Jimmy,
I need all these clips to play.
I need them to play.
I don't know what to tell you, Michelle.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you. I have all these clips. What am I going to do?
Well, you could try reconnecting to this again. Now that you have the password for it.
No, it won't work.
It would play if it was right here, right next to it. It'll play.
What do you mean?
Press pause.
Press pause.
President Zelensky had to commit to an investigation of Biden's before the aid got released.
Don't make it big.
I'm not making it big.
Oh.
What do you want me to do?
I was going to have you connect to the Netgear box instead of the other one.
But it wasn't working.
Try it again. No. Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't really matter.
Oh.
And the aid got released and he didn't commit to an investigation.
Sir, I was not wrong
Now
about
it's
what I
playing.
told you, which is what I heard. That's all I've said. I told you what I heard.
And that's the point. What you heard did not happen. It didn't happen. You had 3 meetings.
Now it's reconnecting. Hang on. Wait, what's happening with that? That's interesting. I haven't seen that one yet.
No internet.
With the guy, he could have told you.
Well, why is
He
it
didn't
playing?
announce he was
Wait,
going to do an
just let it play.
investigation before the aid happened. It's not just could it have been wrong. The fact is it was wrong because it didn't happen. The whole point was you had a clear understanding that aid will not get released unless there's a commitment. Not maybe, not I think the aid might happen and it's my hunch it's going to get released. You use clear language, clear understanding, and commitment. And those two things didn't happen, so you had to be wrong. When you said...
So you had to be wrong. That's the first one there. You had to be wrong. All right. So then we have here Representative Turner. You've not had any contact with the President of the United States. So you both know, these are the two main whistleblowers. You both know that this is an impeachment inquiry about the president.
Testified in your prior testimony that you have not had any contact with the President of the United States. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Ms. Taylor, Mr. Kent, have you had any contact with the President of the United States?
I have not.
So not only no conversations with the President of the United States about Ukraine, you've not had any contact with the President of the United States, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So you both know that this impeachment inquiry is about the President of the United States, don't you? I mean, the man that neither one of you have had any contact with, you're the first up witnesses. I just find that a little amazing that the first up would be two people who've never had any contact with the president. You testify.
What? Can we just be done now?
Yes.
Like, seriously. All right. Here we have Jimmy, baby.
Ukraine. We're not talking any country. We're talking Ukraine. Ernst & Young said one of the 3 most corrupt countries.
It smells great. They can see it good.
Okay.
Small.
Okay.
You muted him.
Corruption is not just prevalent in Ukraine. It's the system. So our president said, time out. Time out. Let's check out this new guy. Let's see if Zelensky's the real deal. This new guy who got elected in April, whose party took power in July. Let's see if he's legitimate. Now keep in mind, as has already been discussed, in 2018, President Trump had already done more for Ukraine than Obama did. That's right.
Maybe that's the whole point of
President
this.
Trump, who doesn't like foreign aid, who wanted European countries to do more, who knew how corrupt Ukraine was, did more than Obama because he gave him javelins. Tank-busting javelins to fight the Russians. Our witnesses have said this, others have said
fight
this.
the
Obama
Russians,
gave him
but there was
blankets,
Russian-
Trump gave him missiles. But when it came time to check out this new guy, President Trump said, let's just see if he's legit. So for 55 days, we checked him out. President Zelensky had 5 interactions with senior U.S. officials in that time frame. One was, of course, the phone call. The July 25th phone call between President Trump and President Zelensky. And there were 4 other face-to-face meetings with other senior U.S. officials. And guess what? Not one of those interactions, not one, were security assistance dollars linked to investigating Burisma or Biden.
Wow.
But guess what did happen in those 55 days? U.S. senators, Ambassador Bolton, Vice President Pence, all became convinced that Zelensky was, in fact, worth the risk. He was, in fact, legit and the real deal and a real change. And guess what? They told the president, he's a reformer, release the money. And that's exactly what President Trump did. Now, over the next few weeks, we're going to have more witnesses like we've had today that the Democrats will parade in here, and they're all going to say this. So-and-so said such and such to so-and-so, and therefore, we got to impeach the president. Actually, we can get more specific. We covered this a little bit ago. They'll say something like, Ambassador Sondland said in his deposition, where he said, Ambassador Taylor recalls that Mr. Morrison told Ambassador Taylor that I told Mr. Morrison that I conveyed this message to Mr. Yarmouk on September 1st, 2019 in connection with Vice President Pence's visit to Warsaw and a meeting with President Zelensky. And if you can follow that, that's the Democrats' plan and why they want to impeach the president. That's what we're going to hear over the next couple weeks.
Why are we playing 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon?
That's exactly what is happening here.
Because I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows Kevin Bacon.
Right. No, but I think literally in real life, though, I do know somebody who knows somebody who knows Kevin Bacon. And I know somebody who knows somebody who knows Trump. I know a lot of those.
No matter how many witnesses they bring in here, 4 facts will not change, have not changed, will never change. The call shows no linkage between dollars and the investigation into Burisma or the Bidens. President Trump and President Zelensky have both said on the call there was no linkage, there was no pressure, there was no pushing. Ukrainians didn't even know the aid was withheld at the time of the phone call, and most importantly, as has been pointed out, the Ukrainians didn't take any specific action relative to investigations to get the money released. Now, there is one witness that they won't bring in front of us. They won't bring in front of the American people. And that's the guy who started it all, the whistleblower. Nope. 435 members of Congress, only one gets to know who that person is. Only one member of Congress has a staff that gets to talk to that person. The rest of us don't. Only Chairman Schiff knows who the whistleblower is. We don't. We will never get the chance. We will never get the chance to see the whistleblower raise his right hand, swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. We'll never get that chance. More importantly, the American people won't get that chance. This anonymous so-called whistleblower with no first-hand knowledge, who's biased against the president, who worked with Joe Biden, who is the reason we're all sitting here today, will never get a chance to question that individual. Democrats are trying to impeach the president based on all that. 11 and a half months before an election. We'll not get to check out his credibility, his motivations, his bias. I said this last week, but this is a sad day. This is a sad day for this country. You think about what the Democrats have put our nation through for the last 3 years. Started July of 2016 when they spied on 2 American citizens associated with the presidential campaign, and all that unfolded with the Mueller investigation after that. And when that didn't work, here we are, based on this.
So I really need to try the Jim Jordan don't ever say If
I don't know how he doesn't.
He doesn't say He has trained himself to just look up and be silent for a second.
Yeah.
And then he gets back on there.
I a lot. It drives me crazy. I want to stop umming.
So, holy wow. Representative Adam Schiff is blocking and interrupting questions while telling witnesses how to answer. The GOP asked Ukraine trying to help GOP asked about Ukraine trying to help Hillary win an election, and Schiff jumps in to tell the witnesses they don't have to answer questions.
Zelensky realm is also saying some very unkind things on social media about the president. You certainly can appreciate that President Trump was very concerned that some elements of the Ukrainian establishment were not in favor of him, did not support him, and were out to get him.
If I could, and I'll allow the question, but are you asking? Really? Are you parliamentary inquiry? Are you seriously interrupting our time here? I will allow the question. I won't dock this from the time.
Oh, the media could not be played. Shocking.
Yeah.
I think we know what he then said. You read it out loud.
So this is the youngest member of Congress here. Youngest female member of Congress, sorry. Stefanik. And she
Stefanik.
Yeah. The first investigation against Burisma's owner was President Obama, correct? When the State Department evaluates foreign assistance, is it appropriate for them to look at all levels of corruption? He's like, yeah. It's Trump should have been looking at all levels of corruption.
The issue of corruption in Burisma was in the U.S. interest because, quote, and this is from your deposition, we had made a commitment to the Ukrainian government in 2014 to try to recover an estimated tens of billions of dollars of stolen assets out of the country. Is that correct?
That is a stolen assets that were in the name of the owner of Burisma, Mykola Zlochevsky. He was the one who we believed had stolen the money.
Sure. So the first case, this was the first case that the U.S., the U.K., and Ukraine investigators worked on was against the owner of Burisma.
That's correct.
And this was during the Obama administration.
That's correct.
So for the millions of Americans viewing, the first investigation against the owner of Burisma was under President Obama's administration.
That's correct.
You testified also, quote, we spent roughly $500,000 of State Department money in support of the FBI and this investigation to build capacity and track down stolen assets, end quote. Is that correct?
That's correct. It was launched in May 2014 by the Attorney General of the U.S. and UK in conjunction with the World Bank.
And in fact, by 2016, you were so concerned about corruption questions related to Burisma that when there was an effort by Burisma to sponsor an essay contest with USAID, you asked USAID to stop it.
That's correct.
And you testified that it was because, quote, Burisma had a poor reputation in the business and that you didn't think it was appropriate for the U.S. government to be co-sponsoring something with a company that had a bad reputation. Correct? You are also aware, and you testified today, that Hunter Biden served on the board of Burisma.
Correct.
And you also testified that you were indeed concerned about the appearance of conflict of interest.
That's correct.
And
We're not talking about a regular company here. This is a company so corrupt that this State Department wouldn't even co-sponsor an essay contest with children because they didn't want to be connected to it. Wow. Yet the vice president at the time's son was on what was quite possibly one of the most corrupt, the board of one of the most corrupt companies obviously in Eastern Europe, one of the most corrupt.
Right.
This is very important. You testify in your deposition that when the State Department evaluates foreign assistance, it is appropriate for them to look at levels of corruption in countries.
That's correct.
And lastly, you also testified that, and this is your quote, issues of corruption have been part of high-level dialogue between U.S. leaders and Ukrainian leaders, regardless of who is the U.S. leader and who is the Ukrainian leader. And that is a normal issue of diplomatic
discussion.
It was normal. Let's see, what was this one? Okay, thank you. It's been taken down. That's fine.
And if any of your videos...
Oh, I know why it was taken down. Representative Gossar. You guys got to see. He took it down, but I have to tell you what he did.
Okay.
I'm sure there's... am I not on internet anymore?
Well, I'm going to go to Twitter on here, and then you can scroll through, and if you need to play anything, you can play it here.
Okay. Oh, but I don't have any internet now. It looks like I have no internet.
You have no internet, or it's just the videos that aren't playing?
I just think we don't have any internet.
Then go ahead and click back on and connect to your regular internet.
Oh, wait, it's back.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it was here. Nope, it's not there.
Wait. I'm really hoping our internet gets worked out, because we're going to need to Skype with Serge here.
But I'm really shocked that these videos are playing.
Okay, so here's our Twitter.
Yeah, there we are.
If you need to play anything from the Twitter.
Well, I didn't really need you. Representative Gossar, he did a thing where he tweeted out the
Epstein.
updates of the whole first day, and the first letter of each one was Epstein didn't kill himself, and he had to take it down. So that's hilarious. Let's see.
All right, is it here? Is this it, Leah?
Thought that McCullough's...
Yeah, that's it.
I wonder if I can... How do I make this? Here we go. All right, so I'm going to show you guys this. He did take them down, but why did he take them down?
Well, because I guess it's not appropriate for a sitting member of Congress to tweet out the impeachment series if they're saying...
But, I mean, there's no proof. It could just be like, I mean, listen.
So I followed Paul Gossar on Twitter. He's a dentist after this because all of his tweets are hilarious. Like, he's really funny.
But what I'm trying to say is, if you believe in evolution, that by random happenings, this entire planet came to being by an explosion, it's possible, like winning lottery numbers, that his tweets could just say... Epstein didn't kill himself. So Twitter can't take him down for that. He could just say, oh my gosh, I guess he didn't kill himself because that's got to be a higher power. I didn't plan that.
This guy's a genius, though.
You know what I'm saying? Genius. Like, I mean, if you believe in evolution, this is like, on the scale of evolution, let's think trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of odds. This is like, I don't know, way, way less than that.
It's the best. All right. GOP is losing by not showcasing this clip. George Kent. To summarize, we thought the CEO of Burisma had stolen money. We thought a prosecutor had taken a bribe to shut the case. GOP counsel, are you in favor of that matter being fully investigated?
We thought that Mykola Zlochevsky had stolen money. We thought a prosecutor had taken a bribe to shut the case, and those were our main concerns.
And are you in favor of that matter being fully investigated and prosecuted?
I think since U.S. taxpayer dollars were wasted, I would love to see the Ukrainian Prosecutor General's office find who the corrupt prosecutor was that took the bribe and how much it was paid. And that's what I said to the Deputy Prosecutor General in February.
So one of their star witnesses says, I wanted this stuff investigated. You can't make this stuff up. So this was Glenn Beck. This was the one I wanted to bring up, and I guess I don't have internet, but somehow my stuff is playing. So let me try to connect here to my other internet, and let's see if I can get some stuff to come up. All right, let's see. I got more to show y'all. Here we go. This is now. Here we are. We're gonna move on to today's hearing. Okay. To which this was the one where Trump live tweeted out from today. I think, because let me go back before we go anywhere to Donald Trump yesterday to see if he had tweeted out. Okay. This was actually last night in Louisiana.
Next step to victory begins on Saturday. Your vote on Saturday is your chance to show the radical left Washington Democrats that Louisiana rejects their extremism and their corruption. You will not allow your voice to be silenced. You will not allow your vote.
So there's an election happening. So Donald Trump held another rally in Louisiana last night. Donald Trump has been busy tweeting out. So we definitely need to go. Donald Trump tweeted this out. A live look. I'm not kidding you. Now, I just want to reiterate that I'm on Donald Trump's Twitter right now for just 1 second. I'm on Donald Trump's Twitter. This is newsworthy. Donald Trump tweeted this out. Representative Doug Collins tweeted out a live look at Ambassador Taylor's testimony in the Schiff impeachment hearings.
My best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from this guy who knows this kid is going with the girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night. I guess it's pretty serious.
Thank you, Simone.
So I think it is going to be better for them to be able to see that if you want to play it from Twitter. Is this one of these?
I'm at Donald Trump's Twitter right now.
Okay. Well, you had wanted to play from today. No, not his tweets, but the video of that woman. The real
it was
woman.
No big deal.
Okay.
Basically, the
from
real
today.
woman.
This one right here. Something like
there's
that.
A bunch of them. Okay.
I'm just thinking if you controlled this, we could just play it. Let me just switch it over.
Okay.
And you just play it from here. I'm thinking that's going to be the best way to go about it. If you want my professional opinion.
Forever and ever.
Well, just for a little bit.
Okay. We're going down to the river. Yeah, I know. We're going back to make sure there's nothing we missed from yesterday. Because I know he tweeted out a bunch. This is Trump's Twitter. Just FYI. He said something at our rally last night. I wanted to tweet out or let you guys. Let's see.
That's Erdogan.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Democrats hearing President Donald Trump on the Democrats hearing, and he was saying
Talking about the witch hunt? Is that what you mean? Is that what you're talking about? I hear it's a joke. I haven't watched for 1 minute because I've been with the president, which is much more important as far as I'm concerned. This is a sham and shouldn't be allowed. It was a situation that was caused by people that shouldn't have allowed it to happen. I want to find out who is the whistleblower, and because the whistleblower gave a lot of very incorrect information, including my call with the president of Ukraine, which was a perfect call and highly appropriate. And he wrote something that was much different than the fact. I want to find out why why would he have presented that when in fact all he had to do is check the call itself and he would have seen it. I'm going to be releasing, I think on Thursday, a second call, which actually was the first of the two. And you'll make a determination as to what you think there. But I've heard just a report. They said it's all third-hand information, nothing direct at all. It can't be direct because I never said it. And all they have to do is look very, very simply at the transcript. If you read the transcript, this was analyzed by great lawyers. This was analyzed by Greg Jarrett. It was analyzed by Mark Levin. It was analyzed by everybody. They said this statement that I made, the whole call that I made with the president of Ukraine was a perfect one. So
poor world leaders that come by. I wanted to hear this is a hearsay hearing.
I think the Democrats did the best they could do today, but it wasn't good enough. It was not a persuasive hearing.
Yeah.
It was dense, griping by no-name diplomats. I respect their service. They care a lot for the country. They want to fight off Russian aggression. But to me, it looked like they were complaining about a turf war over policy and personnel, and were upset that Rudy was stepping on their toes. This was a hearsay hearing. These guys have never met Donald Trump. They weren't on the call, and they have nothing to do with the aid package.
Exactly. So I love that Donald Trump tweeted that out.
And it's a country rife with corruption. And if you're not even going to go after the biggest energy company in the country tied to your political opponent's son for corruption after these investigations were spiked, and you're supposed to hand over hundreds of millions of dollars in U.S. taxpayer money just like that blindly without kicking the tires, this is a new president. Remember, he just got in. And Trump's just saying, hey, listen, can we trust this guy? Who am I dealing with? He's asking some legit questions, and the aid got out under the deadline. Now, very important, the Democrats have lost the messaging war, so they're trying to change the message. It's no longer quid pro quo. It's now about bribery. Now, if the Ukrainian president was bribed by President Trump, he didn't know he was being bribed.
Right.
He didn't say he was bribed. He actually said he wasn't bribed, and he didn't do the very thing that he was allegedly being bribed for, which is start an investigation. So again, this is just like Russia. This is a crime.
It's a hoax.
Yep.
But they realized that they couldn't use an inspector general and they just had to put it in the hands of Congress.
Right.
Because that's too slow. We realized that he didn't actually do anything, so we have to take control.
The AG would have found nothing anyway. Or IG.
Yeah. So Donald Trump says, tweets out Mark Meadows, brilliant job by my colleagues today on the Intel Committee. They clearly highlighted the gaping holes in the Democrats' argument and established the unreal levels of hearsay involved. No two ways about it. Today was a major setback for the unfounded impeachment fantasy. Representative Radcliffe asked the two-star witnesses, where is the impeachable event in that call? Both stared straight ahead with a blank look on their face, remained silent, and were unable to answer the question. That would be the end of a case run by normal people, but not shifty. Neither one of the Democrat star witnesses at the impeachment hearing could point out an impeachable offense. The hearing was about policy dispute. Wall Street Journal, Nancy Pelosi had it right the first time when she did not want to go down the impeachment path. Make it a voting issue. But no, the left insisted on raising this to the gravity of a constitutional crisis and impeachment. The hearing suggests it's not going anywhere. So we've now had 3 years of Democrats chasing Donald Trump.
The Washington Journal, this is great.
Nancy Pelosi's worried about the American voter looking for someone to blame for that eventuality. Look to her own story in the House. What have they done? The average American can't identify anything that the House Democrats have done since she became Speaker, other than chase Donald Trump. This impeachment hoax is such a bad precedent and so bad for the country. And Donald Trump says, where's the fake whistleblower? We are going to talk, if we have time, there was a shooting that happened in California, but we can't cover everything. All right, so here we go. Calls and meetings. July 25th, call between POTUS and Zelensky. Volker and Taylor meet Zelensky. John Bolton meets Zelensky. Vice President meets Zelensky. Senators Johnson and Murphy meet Zelensky. Not one mention of linking dollars to the investigation of the Bidens. 9/11, aid released. Hello. Today, the Ukrainian Foreign Minister
Vadim Pristeko.
Pristeko, yeah, that's good. Verified what we already knew. I have never seen a direct relationship between investigations and security assistance. It's over. It's over. It's
How
over.
will these Democrats in good conscience vote to impeach after this.
Well, they don't have.
Hey, give them the
say
benefit of
in
the
good
doubt,
conscience?
Leah.
Democrats must apologize to the USA. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Vadim
Pristeko
said the United States Ambassador Gordon Sondland did not link financial military aid to a request for Ukraine to open up an investigation into former VP Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden. Ambassador Sondland did not tell us and certainly did not tell me about a connection between the assistance and the investigation. The fake impeachment inquiry is now dead. The impeachment witch hunt should be over with this statement made last night by the President and Foreign Minister of Ukraine. Nervous Nancy Pelosi, who should be home cleaning up the dangerous and disgusting slum she is making in her district in San Francisco, where even the filth pouring into the Pacific Ocean is rapidly becoming an environmental hazard. They don't care about the environment, Green New Deal. They don't care about the environment, just so you know. Is getting nothing done. She is a do-nothing Democrat as Speaker and will hopefully not be in that position very long. Approved USMA, and it's been sitting on her desk for months. Everywhere. And okay, so here we go. Now we're going to this chick. She's Trump fired her as an ambassador to the Ukraine. Her name is Marie
Yovanovitch.
And she was sad because she's been working in the government for 20 years. And she's entrenched in Ukraine. She's been an ambassador to Ukraine, so she didn't stop any of the corruption.
Yeah.
She's so sad. Yeah, it was literally a whining fest on, hey, I'm sad, I'm fired. She literally, someone asked her, how did it make you feel when they fired you? Sad. And this is, okay, so, it's
now, are you
almost,
going to play the video first, or are you going to play Trump's tweets about it first?
I think we should do a video of her first.
Yeah, we need to know who
but
she
is. Let's start out with today's video from
Nunez.
Devin Nunez, the opening text.
Next week, we will continue engaging in the Democrats' day-long TV spectacles instead of solving the problems we were all sent to Washington to address. We now have a major trade agreement with Canada and Mexico ready for approval, a deal that would create jobs and boost our economy. Meanwhile, we have not yet approved funding for the government, which expires next week, along with funding for our men and women in uniform. Instead, the Democrats have convened us once again to advance their operation to topple a duly elected president. I'll note that five Democrats on this committee had already voted to impeach this president before the Trump-Zelensky phone call occurred. In fact, Democrats have been vowing to oust President Trump since the day he was elected. So Americans can rightly suspect that his phone call with President Zelensky was used as an excuse for the Democrats to fulfill their Watergate fantasies. But I'm glad that on Wednesday, after the Democrats staged 6 weeks of secret depositions in the basement of the Capitol, like some kind of strange cult, the American people finally got to see this farce for themselves. They saw us sit through hours of hearsay testimony about conversations that two diplomats who had never spoken to the president heard secondhand, third-hand, and fourth-hand from other people. In other words, rumors. The problem of trying to overthrow a president based on...
I don't know if you can take a second. And so, speaking of rumors,
I can make it big.
Marie Yovanovitch. Pretty much sums it up. Representative Chris Stewart, do you have any information regarding the President of the United States accepting bribes? No. Do you have any information regarding any criminal activity? She wasn't even at the State Department during the time this call was taken. So, I'm going to
try to play it.
No internet! I love my life!
Internet! It's weird that you actually have internet, but it's just not playing videos. So there's like a level of internet there.
Keeps kicking. Maybe the connect automatically thing. Checking.
Well, why would you disconnect?
It just disconnected on its own and reconnect into here.
But why?
I don't know. Let's try it again. Herkimer, yeah. My mom's dad, my grandpa, would say that if there was ever something weird going on, they'd blame it on his made-up word.
No, it was a ghost. An apparition.
It was an apparition.
So I decided after our shows, from now on, it's not Herkimer, it's just Mary.
Oh gosh, please don't do that. No. Please don't do that. That's mean.
Do you have any information regarding the President of the United States accepting any bribes?
No.
Do you have any information regarding any criminal activity that the President of the United States has been involved with at all?
No.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that directly. The American people know this is nonsense. The American...
Why is she a witness in an impeachment inquiry if she has no direct knowledge of Trump taking bribes or any criminal activity?
Because she's sad.
Do they not know that the impeachment benchmark is high crimes and misdemeanors? Like, crime.
No.
Like, you have to commit a crime.
But it's a crime to make her sad.
It's not a crime to be fired. Go ahead, play Nunez. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's not a crime to be fired.
Oops. Here we go.
On this type of evidence is obvious. But that's what their whole case relies on, beginning with secondhand and third-hand information cited by the whistleblower. That's why on Wednesday, the Democrats were forced to make the absurd argument that hearsay can be much better evidence than direct evidence. And just when you thought the spectacle couldn't get more bizarre, committee Republicans received a memo from the Democrats threatening ethics referrals if we out the whistleblower. As the Democrats are well aware, no Republicans here know the whistleblower's identity because the whistleblower only met with Democrats, not with Republicans. Chairman Schiff claimed not to know who it is, yet he also vowed to block us from asking questions that could reveal his or her identity.
Can't he be thrown in jail?
Republicans on this committee are left wondering how it's even possible for the chairman to block questions about a person whose identity he claims not to know.
Schiff's face. He's an alien.
The American people may be seeing these absurdities for the first time, but Republicans on this dais are used to them. Until they secretly met with the whistleblower, Democrats showed little interest for the last 3 years in any topic aside from the ridiculous conspiracy theories that President Trump is a Russian agent.
Boom.
When you find yourself on the phone, like the Democrats did with Russian pranksters offering you nude pictures of Trump, and afterward you order your staff to follow up and get the photos, as the Democrats also did, then it might be time to ask yourself if you've gone out too far on a limb. Even as they were accusing Republicans of colluding with Russians, the Democrats themselves were colluding with Russians by funding the Steele dossier, which was based on Russian and Ukrainian sources.
Hello.
Meanwhile, they turn a blind eye to Ukrainians meddling in our elections because the Democrats were cooperating with that operation. This was the subject of a July 20th, 2017 letter sent by Senator Grassley to then Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. The letter raised concerns about the activities of Alexander Chalupa, a contractor for the Democratic National Committee, who worked with Ukrainian embassy officials to spread dirt on the Trump campaign. As Senator Grassley wrote, Chalupa's actions appear to show that she was simultaneously working on behalf of a foreign government, Ukraine, and on behalf of the DNC and the Clinton campaign in an effort to influence not only the U.S. voting population, but U.S. government officials, unquote.
Go figure.
After touting the Steele dossier and defending the FBI's Russia investigation, which are now being investigated by Inspector General Horowitz and Attorney General Barr, Democrats on this committee ignore Ukrainian election meddling, even though Chalupa publicly admitted to the Democrats' scheme.
He said, but.
Likewise, they are blind to the blaring signs of corruption surrounding Hunter Biden's well-paid position on the board of a corrupt Ukrainian company, while his father served as vice president and point man for Ukraine issues in the Obama administration.
Yeah, about that. Lay me up.
But the Democrats' media hacks only cared about that issue briefly, when they were trying to stop Joe Biden from running against Hillary Clinton in 2015.
That's right. They did bring it up.
As I previously stated, these hearings should not be occurring at all until we get the answers to 3 crucial questions the Democrats refuse to ask.
Do you love Jesus?
First, What is the full extent of the Democrats' prior coordination with the whistleblower, and who else did the whistleblower coordinate this effort with?
How do we get back to
Second, what is the full extent of Ukraine's election meddling against the Trump campaign? And third, why did Burisma hire Hunter Biden? What did he do for them? And did his position affect any government actions under the Obama administration?
Can we get into
I'll note that House Democrats vowed they would not put the American people through a wrenching impeachment process without bipartisan support. And they have none. Add that to their ever-growing list of broken promises and destructive deceptions.
All right, here we go. Here's back Representative Staffnick again. She is she's been kind of tutored a little bit by Jim Jordan. She's a Harvard graduate, one good one.
Okay.
And she's got the points down just like Jim Jordan does. Come on, Stefanik. Here we go. I feel like sometimes we're dial
The
up
first time you personally became aware of Burisma was actually when you were being prepared by the Obama State Department for your Senate confirmation hearings. And this was in the form of practice questions and answers. This was your deposition. And you testified that in this particular practice Q&A with the Obama State Department, it wasn't just generally about Burisma and corruption, it was specifically about Hunter Biden and Burisma. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And the exact quote from your testimony, Ambassador, is, quote, "The way the question was phrased in this model Q&A was, what can you tell us about Hunter Biden's, being named to the board of Burisma?" So for the millions of Americans watching, President Obama's own State Department was so concerned about potential conflicts of interest from Hunter Biden's role at Burisma that they raised it themselves while prepping this wonderful ambassador nominee before her confirmation. And yet our Democratic colleagues and the chairman of this committee cried foul when we dare ask that same question that the Obama State Department was so concerned about. But we will continue asking it. And lastly, in my 20 seconds left, I just want to get it on.
What's her 20 seconds? Come back. Stefanik.
In terms of defensive lethal aid, which you were an advocate for, that was not provided by President Obama. It was provided by President Trump.
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's correct. All right, President Trump slams impeachment testimony and the never Trumpers. Oh, by the way, Fox News has been a horrible place with Chris Wallace and a couple of the others just kind of being trying to lend legitimacy to these impeachment hearings.
Because they're all controlled by Soros.
Yeah, but if you say that, then you're anti-Jewish, even though you are glad that the embassy's in Jerusalem.
So on Periscope, I haven't gotten to a lot of these comments here, but there are, we do have some people watching there. We lost the election, so we must impeach.
Yes, that's exactly it. Don't you know? That's how things work in the Banana Republic, and I see a lot of monkeys around here.
Right. Go ahead. With the Trumpy.
But while we are creating jobs,
but while we are creating jobs, I'll believe he's Russian agents when he starts with his Russian accent.
The radical left, Democrat, is ripping
the
our
country apart.
They're trying to overthrow American democracy and erase the votes of.
It's for one show, man.
This isn't in the Twitter feed. This is in the whole other article.
Oh, okay.
It's a bunch of bad people.
People.
All right, it was very interesting.
You gotta end it you can end the.
Sean Hannity's upset about this chick here because I guess she's lying about him.
Yovanovich.
Maria Yovanovich, an Obama holdover and entangled in the Ukrainian 2016 election scandal, was fired by the Trump administration. The fired ambassador Yovanovich was caught lying in her secret basement star chamber testimony. Tomorrow, and then today, she spoke before the council. During our audition in the basement star changer, she accused Fox News personality Sean Hannity of playing a role in her firing. It was a lie. On Thursday night, Sean Hannity warned Ambassador Yovanovich that he will hire the absolute best lawyers in the country to sue her if she continues to slander him, which is I thought that was kind of interesting. Here we have Ukrainian minister blows up shift show trials. U.S. envoy Gordon Sondland never linked military aid to the Biden investigation. We talked about this. Ukraine's foreign minister, we talked about this, said there was never any link. I've never seen a direct relationship between the investigations and security assistance. And we talked about this over and over again. Then we have Gordon Sondland defending Trump, that there was no quote. As I said on the phone, I think it's crazy to withhold security assistance for the help with a political campaign. So there we have that. So we can go back to Trumpy's Twitter feed, and we will the tweets that the Trump live tweeting tweets will go to that. I believe next. So here we go. In the Twitter of the Twitter world. I don't know if this is a part that we did not watch yet, so we'll go ahead and play this one because it looks like Trump may have tweeted out either twice or...
No, it's a separate video.
It's a separate video.
No, it's muted now.
Right before the hearing began, I think it's important that I read this into the record so that there's no confusion over this first phone call that occurred on April 21st with President-elect Zelensky, and I'd like to read it. The President, I'd like to congratulate you on a job well done, and congratulations on a fantastic election. Zelensky, good to hear from you. Thank you so very much. It's nice to hear from you, and I appreciate the congratulations. The President, that was an incredible election. Zelensky, again, thank you so very much. As you can see, we tried very hard to do our best. We had you as a great example. The President, I think you will do a great job. I have many friends in Ukraine who know you and like you. I have many friends from Ukraine and frankly expected you to win. And it's really an amazing thing that you've done. I guess in a way, I did something similar. We're making tremendous progress in the U.S. We have the most tremendous economy ever. I just wanted to congratulate you. I have no doubt you will be a fantastic president. Zelensky, first of all, thank you so very much again for the congratulations. We in Ukraine are an independent country, an independent Ukraine. We're going to do everything for the people.
For the people.
You are, as I said, a great example. We are hoping we can expand on our jobs as you did. You will also be a great example for many. You are a great example for our new managers. I'd also like to invite you, if possible, to the inauguration. I know how busy you are, but if it's possible for you to come to the inauguration ceremony, that would be great. Great for you to be with us on that day. The President, that's very nice. I'll look into that and give us a date. At the very minimum, we'll have a great representative or more from the United States will be with you on that great day. So we will have somebody at a minimum, a very, very high level, and will be with you. Really an incredible day for an incredible achievement. Zelensky, again, thank you. We're looking forward to your visit, to the visit of a high-level delegation, but there's no words that can describe our wonderful country, how nice, warm, and friendly our people are, how tasty and delicious our food is, and how wonderful Ukraine is. Words cannot describe our country, so it would be best for you to see it yourself. So if you can come, that would be great. So again, I invite you to come. The President, well, I agree with you about your country, and I look forward to it. When I owned Miss Universe, they always had great people. Ukraine always very well represented, was always very well represented. When you're settled in and ready, I'd like to invite you to the White House. We'll have a lot of things to talk about, but we're with you all the way. Zelensky, thank you for the invitation. We accept the invitation and look forward to the visit.
Accepts it right away.
Thank you again.
Yes.
The whole team and I are looking forward to the visit. Thank you for the congratulations, and I think it will still be great if you could come and be with us on this important day. The results are incredible. They're very impressive for us. So it will be absolutely fantastic if you could come on that day. The President, very good. We'll let you know very soon, and we will see you very, very soon regardless. Congratulations, and please say hello to the Ukrainian people and your family. Let them know I send my best regards. Well, thank you, Zelensky. Well, thank you. You have a safe flight and see you soon. President, take care of yourself and give a great speech today. You take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Zelensky, thank you very much. It's difficult for me, but I will practice English, and I will meet in English. Thank you very much. The president laughing. Oh, that's beautiful to hear. That's really good. I could not do it in your language. I'm very impressed. Thank you so much. Zelensky, thank you so much. The president, good day. Good luck. I'm glad I was able to read that into the record so now the American people know the very first call.
Dear Lord in heaven,
Hang on,
this guy
in the
is
chat,
so
though,
awesome.
In the
It's
chat,
so cute.
David goes, "Oh, listen to the collusion.
Listen to the quid pro quo happening right there. Oh my gosh, it sounds just like Trump and Zelensky. I just thank you so much, President Trump. Come and see my country. You're going to love it. You're going to love the people. You're going to love the food. Please come for my inauguration. I'll try. I'm going to try. I will try. I will try to be there. But if not, we'll send a high-level delegation."
He sounds like kind of one of those pushy friends.
But he's a president. I think he might have had like 100 people behind him, like, ask him, get him to come. Ask him again. He's like, I asked him already. Ask him again. I asked him already, Mom. Ask him one more time. My mom wants me to ask you one more time. I mean, how many times am I going to talk to the President of the United States on the phone? Could you please come? Okay, it's okay if you can't come. My mom just really wanted me to ask you again. Mom. I'm on the phone with the President, Mom.
All right, we're going back to Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay. You're so funny. I love when you laugh at your own self.
I'm laughing at Zelensky. I just want to be like you, President Trump. It's a great thing, President Trumpy. I love you, Trumpies. Trumpy's a good Trumpy, Pompy.
I'm sorry I yawned. I didn't get much sleep last night. I tried to not yawn on the air.
We have vacancies in various departments because we do not want or need as many people as past administrations and save great costs. And also the Democrats delay the approval process to levels unprecedented in the history of our country.
Wow.
Okay, then we tweets about double standards with Roger Stone, like never seen before in our country. This witness, we're talking about the chick now. We're going back to the Pavlovskis. This witness has absolutely no relevant information. She can't bring any firsthand knowledge of the events and was recalled from Ukraine before the call. Instead, she's complaining about how the President Trump lawfully fired her. That's what she was called in for. It's crazy. Mark Meadows. Notice how so far the Democrats have been peppering the witness with questions asking her to speculate about the president's motives, his reasons, his decisions. There's a reason why they're doing this. It's because the witness has no relevant information at all. Quick reminder, Ambassador Marie
Yovanovitch
is yet another person who wasn't present on the July 25th call. And that's the focus of this whole impeachment query. Don't be fooled, folks. More hearsay will not get to the truth. The transcript speaks for itself. She had nothing to say. All right, so here we go. Ready? Here we got a little shiffy.
Stefanik, you had a few quick questions for the ambassador. Yield to you, Ms. Stefanik.
Thank you, Mr. Nunes. Ambassador Yovanovitch, thank you for being here today.
The gentlewoman was suspended.
What is the interruption for this?
Okay, here
this time.
Why is Chairman Schiff afraid of Representative Stefanik? Why doesn't he want Republican members to ask questions? Why is he conducting more secret hearings after promising the American people? So he yielded, was going to allow Stefanik, who's obviously very competent. She's brand new. They like her a lot.
You just rewound it.
But now rewind it so you can see what happened.
Okay.
Stefanik, you had a few quick questions for the ambassador.
Stefanik, you had a few quick questions. He's yielding time.
Yield to you, Ms. Stefanik.
Thank you, Mr. Nunes. Ambassador Yovanovitch, thank you for being here today.
The gentlewoman was suspended.
What is the interruption for this time? It is our time.
The gentlewoman was suspended. You're not recognized. Mr. Nunes, you are minority counsel.
I just recognized.
Under the House Resolution 660, you are not allowed to yield time except to minority counsel.
The ranking member yielded time to another member of Congress.
No, that is not accurate.
You're gagging the
That is accurate. Ambassador Yovanovitch, I want to thank you for being here today.
You're not recognized.
This is the 5th time you have interrupted members of Congress, duly elected members of Congress.
The gentlewoman will suspend.
Mr. Chair, we control the time. It's been customary to this committee that whoever controls the time
can yield to whoever they wish. If we have members of Congress that have a few questions, it seems appropriate that we be able to let Ms. Stefanik ask her question.
It's unbelievable.
This is a circus. This shift. Dear people, please vote in Republicans because as corrupt as they are, they don't act like this.
Congratulate you. You've been down in the secret deposition meeting rooms. You've graduated for your performance today. Later this afternoon, I should note that for the public that we will be back down in the basement of the Capitol doing more of these secret depositions. Ambassador, I don't really have very many questions for you. You admitted in your opening statement that you don't have any firsthand knowledge of the issues that we're looking into. But I do want to talk a little bit about Senator Grassley very briefly. I assume that you know who Senator Grassley is?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you believe that Senator Grassley is a serious and credible elected official?
I have no reason to think otherwise.
Were you involved in the July 25th Trump-Zelensky phone call or preparations for the call?
No, I was not.
Were you involved in the deliberations about the pause in military sales to Ukraine as the Trump administration reviewed newly elected President Zelensky's commitment to corruption reforms?
For the delay in...
For the pause.
The pause? No, I was not.
Were you involved in the proposed Trump-Zelensky, later Pence-Zelensky meetings in Warsaw, Poland on September 1st?
No, I was not.
Did you ever talk to President Trump in 2019?
No, I have not.
Mick Mulvaney?
No, I have not.
Thank you, Ambassador. I'm not exactly sure what the ambassador is doing here today. This is the House Intelligence Committee that's now turned into the House Impeachment Committee. This seems more appropriate for the Subcommittee on Human Resources at the Foreign Affairs Committee. If there's issues with employment, disagreements with the administration, it would seem like this would be a more appropriate setting instead of an impeachment hearing where the ambassador is not a material fact witness to any of the accusations that are being hurled at the president for this impeachment inquiry.
She knows nothing. I know nothing. I hear Stefanik got a little something in here.
I just want to get it on record. In terms of defensive lethal aid, which you were an advocate for, that was not provided by President Obama. It was provided by President Trump.
That's correct.
There she goes. All right, Democrats didn't want the outcome.
Claims that this is a sad day and that nobody comes to Washington to impeach the president. That's ridiculous. Some 60 or 70 boycotted the inauguration. I saw impeach the president cries early on, and so this is what they've been working towards for a long time because they didn't like the outcome of the 2016 election, and they're not going to like the outcome of the 2020 election.
Well said, Steve.
All right, bravo from Representative Chris Stewart, who just summarized this whole hearing. Do you have any information regarding POTUS accepting bribes? Yanovich, no. Do you have any evidence of a criminal activity? No. That's it, folks. Now we have both April and July calls between President Trump and President Zelensky. Once again, no linkage of any kind. The White House has displayed unprecedented transparency. We don't get to hear calls.
Between
I don't know of any other call that even Obama has. No. And I'm so glad to hear from Zelensky. I love this man already. But I don't think he was embarrassed that his call was out there.
I know.
Then we have, here we go. This is Trumpy, baby.
Big story.
Sorry.
Uncle Trump.
New remarks from top Ukrainian official damages Democrats' impeachment narrative. Just came out. I only read it because they don't like to report stories like this. You know about that. Because we're fighting the Democrats, but much more difficult to fight is the fake news, I'm telling you. And they're a partnership.
And that's why we're here. Real news.
I call them a partnership made in hell.
Oh!
Here it is. Ukrainian foreign minister said on Thursday, listen to this though, and they won't even want to report it. It's because it ends it. It ends it. It's all about that. Ukrainian foreign minister said on Thursday that the United States ambassador did not link financial military assistance to a request for Ukraine to open up an investigation into former vice president and current Democratic president. Can you believe? Like, we need help to beat sleepy Joe Biden? I don't think so. So, just to finish this up. So there was nothing, no link, no nothing to presidential candidate Sleepy Joe Biden. I added the word sleepy. Because this is a serious deal here. And his son, Hunter Biden. Hunter, where's Hunter? What happened to Hunter? I think he made more money than anybody in history for somebody with absolutely no talent or experience. He's number one in the world. Okay, the ambassador did not tell us, and certainly did not tell me, about a connection between the assistance and the investigation.
Well, okay.
Never said.
Maybe.
In other words, nothing happened. I have never seen a direct relationship between the investigations and security assistance. So they have said now nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Jimmy.
Service to our country. Ambassadors, should ambassadors ever try to influence host country elections?
No.
I think you said in your opening statement, partisanship of this type is not compatible with the role of a career foreign service officer. Is that right?
Yeah.
But that's exactly what happened in 2016. In August of 2016, the very month you went to Ukraine as our ambassador, the Ukrainian ambassador here in the United States, Ambassador Chali, wrote an op-ed in The Hill, said this: Trump's comments send wrong message. So the very month you're over there as our ambassador to Ukraine, Ambassador Chali writes that op-ed, and it wasn't just that attack, as Mr. Castor got into earlier, it wasn't just that attack on the president. We had former Ukrainian Prime Minister Yatsenyuk, who criticized candidate Trump. We had Mr. Avakov. I believe earlier you said, Ambassador, that Mr. Avakov was the individual who first alerted you to the efforts of Mr. Giuliani. Mr. Avakov, back during this same time period, in the months just prior to the 2016 election, called then candidate Trump all kinds of names, called him a terrorist. And of course we have Mr. Lyshenko, a member of parliament, who was a source for Fusion GPS and now somewhat famous dossier that flowed from Fusion's work. He said this in the Financial Times again in August of 2016 when you first arrived in Ukraine. He said this: the majority of Ukrainian politicians are on Hillary Clinton's side. So you had several high-ranking officials in the government, in the Ukrainian government, and when President Poroshenko is president of Ukraine, criticize President Trump, then candidate Trump, all in the late summer and fall of 2016. What I want to know, Ambassador, when this was all happening, did you go talk to anyone in the Ukrainian government about this? Did you go say to some of these officials, hey, you guys need to knock this off, this perception that we got, as Mr. Lyshenko said, the majority of Ukrainian politicians on Hillary Clinton's side, that's not good. Did you have that conversation?
No.
To anyone in the government? Did you talk to President Poroshenko?
No.
Didn't alert anyone in the government?
No.
Well, one of the things we've heard so much over the last 6 weeks in depositions, and frankly in the hearing on Wednesday, is how important bipartisan support is for Ukraine. Democrats and Republicans agree they want to help Ukraine. In fact, the Democrats' first witness, their star witness on Wednesday, Mr. Taylor said Ukraine's most important strategic asset is this bipartisan support. And you would agree with that, right?
I do.
He said this in his testimony on Wednesday. On September 11th, I learned that the hold had been lifted the next day. Ambassador Taylor said, I conveyed this news to President Zelensky and the Ukrainian foreign minister, and I reminded Mr. Yarmak of the high strategic value of bipartisan support for Ukraine and the importance of not getting involved in other countries' elections. So what I'm wondering is, this is the day after the aid's been lifted that Ambassador Taylor made this statement to the Ukrainian government. And he makes this after there's nothing been done by Ukraine to influence our election. Because President Zelensky didn't announce he was doing an investigation and the aid was lifted. But he felt he needed to say that. But in 2016, when we know that the majority of Ukrainian politicians want Clinton to win, because it was said by a member of parliament, when the ambassador to the United States from Ukraine writes an op-ed criticizing then candidate Trump, when Mr. Avakov calls candidate Trump all kinds of names, nobody goes and talks to him and tells him to knock it off. Did you have any conversations, Ambassador, with Victoria Nuland or Secretary of State Perry about what was going on in 2016 and this majority of Ukrainian politicians being for candidate Clinton and not and opposed to President Trump?
No, I did not.
No one did anything. No one did anything. You see why maybe the president was a little concerned about what went on in Ukraine? And you couple that with the corruption level that we know exists in Ukraine, you add to that this idea that he's not a big fan of foreign aid, why he might be a little concerned about sending the hard-earned tax dollars of the American people to Ukraine?
I'm sorry, is there a question there?
There was.
Okay, could you repeat it, please?
I'm asking.
Time for the gentleman's expired, but I'll allow you to repeat the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm asking, maybe we can kind of see why the president was a little concerned when you have the highest ranking officials in the government, the ambassador criticizing him, parliamentary member Lashchenko criticizing him, when you have Avakov, the guy who first told you about Giuliani, criticizing him. All this going on, and when you couple that with the concerns he has about corruption, the concerns he has about Europe not doing enough, the concerns he has about reluctance to send in the hard-earned tax dollars to any country.
Jordan, I have indulged you with extra time, but
I appreciate it.
Indulgence is wearing out.
I appreciate it.
There is a question.
Our indulgence wore out with you a long time ago, Mr. Chairman. I'll tell you that.
But I'm about to gavel you down, so if you have a question, I suggest you.
I'm asking her: do you think there's maybe a reason that this was that President Trump's concern was justified?
This guy's face to the far left.
You know, I can't speak for the president on this, but what I would say is. You've listed a number of actions. I think from my point of view, that doesn't create a Ukrainian government strategy to interfere in our election.
I didn't say that.
Mr. Jordan, please allow the ambassador to answer the question.
So I would just say that, you know, U.S. politicians will often criticize policies of foreign counterparts, even perhaps during.
That was hilarious. All right,
so hang on, I have a little bit of a commentary
okay,
there,
sure.
only because the whole time she was just doing this kind of no. She had nothing, and I'm literally, and we talk about this on our show. It's called apologetics. It's called debating. I'm literally there, sitting there, going, "Oh my gosh, I could answer for you something that might actually contest what Jim Jordan is saying." Don't put women as your star witness. Just don't do it, okay? They never work well. They aren't, these women are not strong. I don't know how they get these positions as ambassadors. You would think that would make you a strong person. She's obviously weak, very weak. And Jim Jordan is so strong. She just kind of like, no.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing for you. You're embarrassing women. For everyone. I'm embarrassed.
So,
no.
They're like,
no.
So we went through the tweets, and did he take them down? Okay, here we go. All ready? We're gonna end our show with
Don't
this.
they go in order like this? Like from down up?
No.
Okay. Well, that's what they usually do.
I know. Everywhere Marie Yovanovitch went, this is Donald Trump talking about his ambassador. Everywhere she went bad. She started off in Somalia. How did that go? Then fast forward to Ukraine, where the new Ukrainian president spoke unfavorably about her. In my second phone call with him. So he talks to Zelensky, and Zelensky says she's corrupt. I don't like her, right? It is a U.S. president's absolute right to appoint ambassadors. Let's see. They call it serving at the pleasure of the president. The U.S. now has a very strong and powerful foreign policy, much different than preceding administrations. It is called, quite simply, America First. With all of that, however, I have done far more for the Ukraine than yeah. So this is Donald Trump during this hearing.
Obama.
This is Donald Trump during this hearing. Yes. This is Donald Trump during this hearing. Live tweeting this out.
Right.
O is Obama. O is Obama. This is Donald Trump tweeting this out. And a lot of people don't like it. But my mom said something. I'm going to repeat it again. When somebody is coming at you and they're attacking you, like an abusive husband, sometimes people think that, they start to fight with them. You start to fight them. And it doesn't work out so well. Maybe you get hit in the face. Maybe things don't work out. So you think if you just be quiet and you just sit down, then they'll stop.
Right.
But abusive people don't stop. So it's better to take them to the mattresses. It's better to, if somebody is abusive and somebody's doing something wrong, somebody's doing something criminal, right? It's better to say something and speak out and do something.
Yeah. Than
do nothing at all and let them walk all over you. Right? To stand up for yourself.
Right.
So what Donald Trump does is he could just sit quietly like he did during the Mueller probe, because it was a criminal investigation.
Right.
This is just a sham hoax. It's better for him to take them to the mattress. It's better to go after her. And I know a lot of people are like, well, why does Trump tweet? Why does he do this? Why does he do this? Because he's fighting a spiritual battle. He's not even fighting this chick or anybody who's coming against him.
Right.
The devil doesn't want, and I know I sound like some sort of Pentecostal preacher, but it's absolutely 100% true because I feel it every single day. The devil doesn't want Donald Trump to be president.
Right.
Because he is uncovering the darkness, sex trafficking, the deep state, the CIA, foreign wars with many people dying.
Right.
Okay? Before we go, I have some other stories, but I'm going to leave you with this.
Because we're coming back here in like a half hour.
Yep, yes. And we have to get, there's more stories in this world, but this was so far, is going to be the one, and I still have no internet. Because I think it keeps connecting to this one.
No.
Yeah, I think it does. So, Bashar al-Assad.
Mm-hmm.
You know Assad, the guy who runs Syria?
That guy.
Well, he made a statement about Epstein.
He did.
And
you didn't tell me about this.
Assad says Epstein didn't kill himself. Syria's Assad claims Jeffrey Epstein didn't commit suicide. He was killed because he knew a lot of vital secrets. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Mean appears to have gone international. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, in an interview with Russian state TV on Thursday, waded into the bizarre viral craze by offering his own take. American billionaire Jeffrey Epstein was killed several weeks ago. They said he had committed suicide in jail. Newsweek quoted Assad as telling the TASS Russian news. However, he was killed because he knew a lot of vital secrets connected with very important people in the British and American regimes and possibly in other countries as well. His unsolicited take on Epstein, when he was asked for his reaction to the death of James Leigh Major, the founder of the White Helmets humanitarian volunteer group, that was his. Epstein didn't kill himself. Infiltrates Congress. You've got John McAfee, final proof. Now the main founder of the White Helmets has been killed. He literally. Oh, and then here's the Paul Gosar. Epstein didn't kill himself. Here were the original tweets, and somebody did screenshot it, so you can see for everyone. Epstein didn't kill himself. Here's the E.
Okay, we don't have to go through the whole.
I know. It's so cool. No quid pro quo, no pressure. But they were really funny. It's nothing more than a game of telephone. These witnesses have no first knowledge. No quid pro quo, no pressure. The transcript released by the president shows it to itself. It's just so funny. So that is Bashar al-Assad. And I think that is awesome.
I think it's awesome too.
Yeah.
But okay, so where does it go? Where does Epstein didn't kill himself end? Like the memes. Everybody is saying it now. Everybody knows it.
I think it's spiritual again. I think it's the power of God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, seriously, like, truth will win out. Like, we know he's connected to a lot of high, powerful people, and I think a lot of people just know it's got to get out there.
Right.
Good news is, speaking on the Senate side, Rand Paul will initiate Senate vote to force Hunter Biden impeachment testimony. Senator Rand Paul threatened Thursday to trigger a vote that would force Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, to testify as a witness to the impeachment trial against President Trump. So, I think that's very interesting. Senator Rand Paul has been the most open and transparent out of all politicians we have. Another GOP senator says, I'll subpoena the Bidens, shift the whistleblower if necessary. So there's some stuff going to go down there.
So wait, they're going to subpoena the whistleblower, but that doesn't mean that they show up. I mean,
I don't think you can not show up to
a subpoena thing. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I just kind of feel like, and they don't. He'll subpoena him, but it's up to Schiff whether they actually.
No. In the Senate.
Oh, in the Senate. Okay, Senator Johnson. All right, very good.
Yeah. So I don't know what's playing here.
Look for the. Try down here. Do you have another screen to open?
I do. I mean.
Nope.
So funny.
You can't get videos to play and then they randomly play.
I know. Here it is.
Okay.
Oh, that was the one we did. They stopped playing on us. That's so funny. All right, and just so you know, McCabe is still the prosecutors. Prosecutors have not decided to. Has been recommended to try him. The federal prosecutor DOJ is on the fence, and a judge actually said to them, "This is not an open and shut case. Like, basically, bring me this case. He's guilty. Bring the case." And the federal, because there's no good people. That's why it's called the deep state. You think that you're like, hey, let's go after Comey. Hey, let's go after Strzok. Hey, they're totally guilty. And then Roger Stone. Okay, that's because the right people aren't in place. So we're going to pray that God starts to do things and get the right people in place at the right time so that we can begin to bring these things down. We are definitely appealed to heaven right now because you see the corruption. You see what's going on. You see it's been going on for over 100 years, starting with the Federal Reserve, and no foreign wars would have been able to happen without the the fake money and stuff like that. So our prayer tonight is that and continuing every day, battling this spiritual battle because the devil's trying to take Trump out because he's trying to take us out, trying to take freedom of speech away, trying to take your guns away, trying to promote abortion, multiple genders. I mean, he took off the mask, he's got the pitchfork, he's got the ears, and he's running around like crazy town, and we're all just like, devil, 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 and he's like, yeah, I'm here, and you can't stop me. And you're like, and the best way to do it is like, in the name of Jesus, this is my country. We're a Christian country, and you're going to go sit in your corner or sit in wherever God puts you. And it happens because when Christians get together, we can lock them back up. So let's lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. We're talking about the devil. Lock him up. All right. So we're going to be back here soon.
Yeah. It's 8:34. I'm hoping that Serge will be okay with 9:30 because I need to take some time to double check our internet and all that because I don't know why it's not working. So look back, and I will put it as I schedule the stream, and you can go and just join back in with the chat.
If you're just joining us, tell them what we're going to do.
So if you guys missed out on our Medjugorje episodes, they were 6 hours long, a two-part series. Patriot Gallery broke them down into many, many parts. She said they're easier to consume that way. On Tuesday and Wednesday night. It's fascinating, uncovering one of the most mysterious conspiracy theories of the Catholic Church modern day. And so we kind of break that down, and one of our very dearest friends, Serge, left a comment, and then come to find out he has his own dynamic, explosive testimony of his experience with literally chasing Mary, chasing these same apparitions wherever they showed up right after his salvation. So he agreed to come on the show. He's been in the ministry his whole life, and I'm going to give this introduction all over again, not his whole life, but for his whole adult life. And so that's what we're going to come back and do tonight. So I'm very, very excited about that. So you will not want to miss. Your whole Friday night's going to be spent here with Resistance Chicks. Okay, so come back in a little bit. And like I said, I'll post the time and open up the chat once I get all the internet stuff worked out. So we're going to sign off. No song. Remember, We have a P.O. Box, 107 Milford, Ohio, 45150. If you send us your letters, we will read them on air. We do have some mail calls that we need to do. We just haven't had the time. We'll be back here on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our European and UK news. It's one of our most beloved shows that we do every week on Sunday.
I'm so excited you guys come back in about less than an hour.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome.
We love you. God loves you. God bless. And remember,
it's not just conspiracy theory.
If it's actually the truth. See you soon. In the ending right now because Leah wanted me to tell you something. At the end of our show, that music that we just played, that you hear every time, and the big thunderclap it's part of another song, this is Serge. This is his music. He's the guy that does the music that we play here on our show. That's Serge. Planet Dominique, and I always have the link there. You can go and you can listen to all his music. He's an amazing musician. So there's he's a good friend. We know him. You guys hear him every single time you watch our show. Very good. Dominique, there you go.